a way to treat them like humans again. You treat them with love.
That's awesome. I'm gonna throw this out there. I looked online about a study that took place in the 1970s. The psychologist had a bunch of rats, right? And they made a rat park for them.
Yep, rat park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard this story?
I have, yeah. Tell it, though. It's
okay.
a great story.
Well, no, they figured out that if you take a rat and leave him by himself and give him two options of one, water, just regular water, or two, water that had narcotics in it. I believe it was cocaine and heroin. Every time the rat on his own, who'd been left alone for days, no contact with anybody, would choose the drugs every single time. Now, the rats in the rat park were also given the same options. Yet the feeder that had the narcotics in it was left untouched.
Yep.
Because these rats were part of a community. They were welcomed into a community because I believe it takes a community to be able to help people like that.
Yeah, they wanted connection.
Right.
Those rats wanted to be connected. They wanted to feel like they belonged. They wanted to be accepted by others. And that's what that did for them. When given the choice between connection or drugs, they went to connection. They went to, love and community. And that goes for all of us, man. We're no different than them.
Right.
That's evidence, right? That's proof. That's proof that works.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
That's what NHRC looks for, right? We look for evidence-based stuff. We make decisions off of evidence.
Correct. That's awesome.
So in the Harm Reduction Coalition, we collect a lot of data, right? We support syringe service programs, needle exchanges, right? SSPs.
Okay.
In that, we have them SSPs collect data. We take that data and form evidence, right? We use that evidence to influence policies.
That's awesome. Wow. And how long you been doing this for?
New Hampshire passed the law, I think, in 2017. If I remember right, it's like April 12th of 2017. It's just 3 years right now, and we started the first SSP in just shortly after June or July. We started the first SSP.
Okay.
And then the NHRC, the Harm Reduction Coalition, used to be part of our county Health and Safety Council.
Nice.
We pulled it away from the Health and Safety Council, one, because we don't like to be really affiliated with any state or county or anything. We don't want any governance, right?
Okay.
We just kind of like to be grassroots and open. And
Autonomous?
do things the way that we think is best. Huh?
Autonomous?
Yeah, we like to say autonomous. That's generally the way I operate. So we moved it away from there, and we started it as its own nonprofit. And we just got nonprofit status about a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow. Man, you're rolling with that. That's awesome. You mentioned the needle exchange program.
I serve on that board. With a lot of great people, right?
Okay.
Like, on that board, we have doctors, former doctors, state reps, nurses, nurse practitioners, people who work in mental health. Like, those guys that sit on that board with us they are the ones that make this stuff happen. They're the ones who make it happen fast.
Wow. Huh. And what is your role?
I am in the Harm Reduction Coalition. I am the treasurer.
Okay. Nice. Have you helped wrote any policies or?
Have I helped write policies?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
So one of the gentlemen, the state rep that's on the board with us, wrote the law for the syringe service program in the state of New Hampshire.
Okay.
And these guys, between a couple of them on the board, they're on all of the task force that are developed through the state and influence it that way. They have the seat from the Harm Reduction Coalition on them task force.
Okay. You mentioned the needle exchange programs. Why did you get that rolling?
Yeah, so why did we... Well, needle exchanges serve, the needle exchange changes themselves are like the base of harm reduction.
Okay.
And there's lots of things that we can do, but the syringe, we often say, like, the point is the point.
Right.
Right? In order to get clean syringes out on the street, we help prevent the spread of hepatitis, HIV, right?
Right.
We use that the same way that religious organizations use a ham sandwich, right? They offer these free meals, and they bring these people in to get a ham sandwich,
Okay.
and then they preach the word of the Lord to them.
Right.
Right? We get them in with clean syringes. We teach, like, self-advocation and, like, healthy living, and we give them an opportunity to, like, stand up for themselves and to take care of themselves.
Wow.
Right? At the same time as, like, reducing the spread of hepatitis and HIV, which is, like, huge.
Wow. That's, man, you guys got it down. Do you see in the future, us having a program similar to, I believe it's Holland, where you can, if you're a heroin addict, you can go into the hospital and get treated and get small doses of it?
Do I think that's in our future as a country?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Not anytime soon. Right?
Yeah. I understand why, too. Let's get a topic over to recovery. How did you get clean?
How did I get clean? This last time, I've been in and out of recovery, right? Like, I tried to get clean many a times. Sometimes I would put together a couple of days. Sometimes I put together a couple of months. This last time that I got clean 9 years ago, I used Suboxone.
Okay.
Now, check it out. I had one Suboxone strip, right? And I traded it. I traded 3 syringes for one Suboxone strip.
Wow.
And that, to me, 9 years ago, like, Suboxone wasn't readily available. It wasn't on the streets the way that it is today.
Right.
So I had that one strip, and it felt like I could do it at that point, right? So I stopped everything I was doing, and I decided I was going to get clean. I took that strip, I cut it in half, I took one half, I cut that half in half, I took that quarter, I cut that last quarter in half again, and I weaned myself off with a Suboxone strip.
Wow.
And then I never went back. I went right to the Narcotics Anonymous meeting. I sat down in the seat, raised my hand like everybody does, and I said, "I'm an addict named Nick, and you'll never believe what happened to me." And they all laughed, and they were like, "Well, you're in the right spot, my friend. Well, but we believe what happened to you."
Oh, that's awesome. I was just going to ask if you ever tried a 12-step program, but Narcotics Anonymous, is that your program? That's like the one you claim?
It's the one I bet my life on every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that steers you away from AA?
Yeah, there is in particular. The one thing that I always tell people about the big book, the AA big book, says that they focus on alcoholism.
Right.
So that they can, if they focus on one thing, they can get it perfect. And I suffer from the disease of addiction. Right? I don't suffer from alcoholism. Like when I moved to the state of New Hampshire, I jumped into a bottle of vodka. Right. I came out of the county jail from a 364, back-to-back 364s.
Wow.
Came out and jumped into a bottle of vodka. 6 months later, I had a syringe in my arm again.
Wow.
Right? Because nothing changed. It's not the alcohol for me.
Right.
And like, I don't have to compromise that. I don't have to, like, identify as something else to fit in.
Right.
Like, I know there's a program that says, like, they're going to love me any way I am, and that's it. And for me, that was always Narcotics Anonymous.
Right. That's all. I started out in Narcotics Anonymous in 2004, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my entire life. Life was really good for a long time.
Yeah.
And my biggest beef with AA is that I just think they violate their traditions constantly through a lot of different things they do. And that's just my personal opinion. I tried to go to AA at first, and I called their hotline, and I didn't have a car at the time, and I couldn't get anybody to take me to a meeting. Like, I couldn't get anybody on a line to pick me up. So an NA meeting was right down the street in walking distance, and that's how I ended up in Narcotics Anonymous. So
Wow.
I get it, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of or have participated in smart recovery?
I have never participated in smart recovery. There's a couple of them programs around, self-management and recovery training.
Right.
It sounds too regimented for me. Right? Too regimented for me. It's
Okay.
not. I'm super glad that it's there. Right? I think that there's like all kinds of ways to recover.
Right.
Right? Like AJ, Heroin Anonymous, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Smart Recovery, Refuge Recovery. There's a bunch of them out there. And they're great. As long as they're working for people, it's
Right.
great.
Right.
But I do believe that we have to pick a program.
I agree.
As a recovering addict, you gotta like pick one program and stick to it and make it yours. Like learn to be about something.
Right. That's another thing that used to get on my nerves just a little bit was ANDAs. Addicts and alcoholics.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, pick one, bro. Come on.
Yeah. You gotta put $2 in the jar for that, right?
Seriously.
One for each of their addictions.
Have 2 sponsors. Work 2 sets of steps.
Yeah.
What would you say to one of my listeners if they were currently a practicing addict who's sick and suffering?
Yeah, so somebody who's currently using,
Yeah.
right? They say the same thing we tell everybody, man. It's like use safe, right? Use clean supplies. We love you, and carry Narcan, right? A dead person can't recover.
That's true. Wow, that was pretty powerful, man. That's love right there. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's jump into another topic: society and violence. Now, I wanted to bring this up with you because me and you grew up in a very violent culture. There was constantly fighting, and it was pretty rough. Do you believe that learning and practicing self-defense is important to a person's development, or could that be traumatizing at a young age?
It's definitely important to somebody's development. Right? Self-defense is important. Unless you're going to get your ass kicked.
Right.
If you're okay with getting your ass kicked, then don't practice self-defense. That's okay.
Right.
Right? Like, that's a choice of yours.
Right.
Do whatever way you want to go. Whatever way you want to go with that. Right? You're going to develop one way or another. You're either going to develop getting your ass kicked, or you're going to develop not getting your ass kicked.
Right.
Right? The thing is like self-defense is important, and because you don't want to get your ass kicked, but being aggressive with it is not that great.
Right.
Like, you don't have to go kick asses all the time.
Right.
It's okay to kick somebody's ass, but you don't have to, then don't.
Right.
But know how to defend yourself.
Right.
I've gotten my ass kicked more times than I've won fights. That's a fact.
Wow.
But I've showed up for every one of them fucking fights because I ain't afraid to get my ass kicked.
Nice. Do you think we're headed towards a more non-violent point in our existence as a society?
No, I don't think we're heading toward a more non-violent point. I think I hope, right? So the facts are, this is the facts, right? That like America is less violent today than it was a quarter century ago.
Right.
That's a fact.
Right.
Right? There's less violent crimes. There's like less home invasions. There's just like it's just less, right?
Okay.
What I hope is happening. I don't. You know what? Like, there's all of that's true. Right? There is less violent crime, but there's also a higher like militant police force out there.
Absolutely.
So I always wonder if their numbers are skewed because people just don't want to report that shit.
Right.
Right? Are we less violent? No. We're not.
Okay. All right. Do you believe...
Listen, though, check this out, Ryan.
Go for it.
I think the violence that we see today has shifted. Right? Like, the violence that's out there today isn't on my block anymore. It's not. I don't see it. It's not on Hillside and Summit.
Right.
Right? But the violence is still in the middle of Camden. The violence is still in the middle of Detroit.
Right. Yeah, I agree, man. we did. I mentioned we did grow up in a violent time.